Every now and then, a company releases a product that's a real success, something that just works and really hits home with buyers. For Elgato, that was, in my opinion, the Stream Deck. It's become immensely popular, especially with streamers and content creators. There are a few different sizes of Stream Deck available, but the amount of buttons is pretty much the only thing that separates them from one another. Well, that's about to change. Hey guys, I'm Matt and welcome to Kit Guru. Today we're going to be checking out the brand new Stream Deck Plus from Elgato. It's a multifunctional control device, I suppose you can call it, that can be used to control pretty much anything on your PC. Now, this new flavour of Stream Deck is following in the footsteps of the insanely popular original models that I mentioned just now at the start of the video. Elgato have added some pretty cool new features like 4 programmable dials and a touch sensitive LCD touch strip or touch bar. And that's not the only thing that's changed quite a bit though. The price has also jumped up quite a bit, with the recommended retail price for a Stream Deck Plus sitting at £209.99. Now, that price may seem a little bit on the steep side at first glance, but when you think about the extra technology that's going into these new Stream Decks, then it makes it a bit more reasonable. I've owned a Stream Deck Mark 1 for a while now and I absolutely love it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing everything extra that the Plus brings to the table. Let's go. It's a pretty run-of-the-mill box, so I'm not going to spend too much time showing it to you, as there's not much to see, to be honest. The Stream Deck Plus is held in place and presented inside the box really well. Elgato also include a 1.5 meter USB-A to USB-C cable for connecting the Stream Deck Plus to your PC. Now, when I got this thing out of the box, my first impressions, one thing I did notice when I first took it out of the box is that it isn't anywhere near as heavy as I thought it was going to be. That might be a little bit of a layover from when I checked out the mounting macro and display pads. The bases on those things were really heavy. But this thing is surprisingly light. There's no way to adjust the angle that the Stream Deck Plus sits at, unfortunately. It's fixed in place. But then it is set to an easily accessible angle, but I would like to have seen some adjustability here. The bottom of the device is covered in a grippy rubber pad, which does help to keep the Stream Deck Plus in place. And in theory, this sounds great, but in reality, it does still move quite a bit when I place it on my desk mat. A bit more weight added to the main body would have helped a lot with this. It's much more sturdy when you place it directly on your desk though, so try and do that if you choose to pick one up. Keep it off your desk mat, keep it on your desk itself. The front of the Stream Deck Plus houses all of the controls, including those new dials and touch strip. Let's go over each type of control and look at them in a bit more detail. The first major addition to the new Stream Deck Plus are the 4 dials found across the bottom of the device. Overall, they feel really nice when you turn them, but they do wobble a little bit, which is pretty disappointing. The actual dials themselves can be removed though, so maybe we'll see some custom options in the future. But as for their functionality, these dials are genius. You can assign what Elgato call dial stacks in the Stream Deck software, which we'll touch on a little bit more later in the video. But basically, they allow you to add a list or a stack of actions to each dial, which you can then navigate through by clicking the dial in. So, for example, I've got one dial set up that controls both the monitor and stream output volumes of every audio source from within Elgato's Wavelength software. That's 10 different volume levels controlled with a single dial. That's super convenient if you have a lot of stuff that you want to control. And it's so intuitive the way that they've made it work. It just works and it's simple. Now, as I mentioned a second ago, I will cover the software and the integrations in a bit more detail later in the video. I just wanted to show you how useful these dials are from the off. The other big change from the original Stream Deck and the Stream Deck Mark II is that touch bar. Now this primarily functions as a display for the dials below it, showing the volume level of an assigned source, for example. But that's not all it does. You can also tap on the touch bar to perform an action, like muting and unmuting that audio source, for example. Then there's the swipe function. If you set up different pages within the Stream Deck software, then you can quickly switch between them by swiping left or right on the touch bar. This is a really useful feature if you're used to having more buttons than the 8 that you'll find on the Stream Deck Plus, especially if you've already got an original Stream Deck, you're going to have less buttons on this one. So the swiping between the pages is something that I've found really useful. All you have to do is just set up some more pages in the software and then swipe away to switch between them. This strip is really responsive and it feels really smooth to use. I've never had it fail to register when I've tapped or swiped. You can customise the background of the touch bar too, either with one of the preset options, which there are quite a few, or by selecting any image that you want. The display is quite crisp and quite bright, and it shows up the Kit Guru logo quite nicely. Then finally, there are the 8 LCD buttons, which are just like the buttons that you'll find on the original Stream Deck models. If you've never used a Stream Deck before, then I'll just start by saying this. When I first got my Mark I Stream Deck, first of all, I thought it would just be a luxury item that would just be a nice to have, but it soon turned into something that I honestly use every single time I'm on my PC. It's definitely now something that I consider a key part of my setup and workflow. The list of functions you can add to these buttons is almost endless. Everyone has their Stream Deck set up differently, and in my case, I have separate folders for streaming, recording, and general PC use, and I can completely control my stream, quickly carry out general actions on my PC like emptying the recycle bin or Alt F4 in something. And then I can also see stats related to my hardware by using the HW Info plugin. Now the buttons themselves, they feel quite spongy and they don't have a tactile click when you press them. That's the only thing I'd like to see, and it's the only bad thing I've got to say about them really. So let's talk about the software now. This is where the magic happens for a Stream Deck. The key to getting the most out of the Stream Deck Plus is setting it up in the Stream Deck software to suit your needs and tweaking it until you've got it set up in a way that suits what you want to get out of it. But before I dive into that, I want to talk about something that is pretty huge. Up until now, to use Elgato's Wavelink software, which is the software that controls audio that comes with their microphones or their Wave XLR interface, you needed to own one of those devices. But that's not the case anymore. This is huge. This is something people have been asking for a long, long time. If you pick up a Stream Deck Plus, you'll be able to use any microphone within Wavelink and control it with the Stream Deck. That's massive news. Wavelink is an absolutely excellent way of controlling microphone and audio output levels and settings, and you can now use it with a non-Elgato branded mic and interface. You'll just need a Stream Deck Plus connected to your PC, which most content creators have a Stream Deck, I'm guessing anyway. So that's huge news. If you upgrade to this new Stream Deck, you're going to get Wavelink functionality. That's massive. But back to the Stream Deck itself. As I mentioned a minute ago, the key to getting the most out of the Stream Deck Plus is setting it up to suit your needs within the Stream Deck software, which at its most basic level is really simple and easy to do. The original Stream Deck really shone when plugins were added to add some extra functionality. And now Elgato have said that the SDK to enable developers to produce new and port over existing plugins to Stream Deck Plus will be available a few weeks after release. And me personally, I'm really looking forward to see what sort of stuff the devs start releasing, because the selection available on the original Stream Decks is huge. The control that you have over audio with this device alongside the software is massive. There's an automatic profile which auto detects all audio sources that are putting out sound, and then it maps the dials accordingly. or with just pressing a single button, and then you can use the dials to tweak the volume levels of the various audio sources. Then there are the dial stacks that I mentioned earlier, with each dial being able to control a multitude of actions. In my opinion, the way that they've integrated the software to work with these dials is genius, as it allows you to set up stuff just how you want to, like having all audio levels on a single dial like I did. And the buttons, they retain everything that was found on the original Stream Decks, including multi-actions, a way of chaining various actions together in a similar way to creating a macro. And this is really great for switching scenes in OBS, for example. So you can switch scenes and adjust audio levels or mute, unmute inputs and outputs at the same time. Like auto-muting your mic if you switch to a Be Right Back scene when you're streaming. That's really useful. You can go really in-depth with the customization too, with custom icons and backgrounds and plugins. Elgato also give you access to copyright-free music and sound effects through the Stream Deck software, something that's really useful for content creators and something that I've used in my personal YouTube channel in the past. Now overall, Elgato's software is really top tier. It feels like it's designed to be as simple as possible to use, while it still includes some pretty complex customization options. I genuinely feel that Elgato have set a pretty high standard for the rest of the industry with their software. It's not without its bugs sometimes, like the occasional crash here and there, but they are few and far between. Overall, the software for all the Elgato products that I've ever used is brilliant. So my final thoughts, and I really like this new expanded Stream Deck Plus. The price is a little bit on the steep side, but the functionality and the usefulness and the utility that you get out of this product or any of the Stream Decks is just genius. And with the added dials, it's just expanded on it. The dials are very clever, especially when coupled with dial stacks and the automatic mode that I mentioned earlier on. The software, as I said, is excellent, very excellent. In my opinion, I'll say it again, it sets a bar for many other manufacturers. It makes the devices easier to use, and when coupled with plugins, it really opens up a world of possibilities for adding functionality. The build quality could be a touch better, but it isn't bad by any means. And the price, once again, is a little on the high side in my opinion, but you do get a lot for your money. And if you set this thing up just right, it will save you some of the most valuable resource there is, time. And another downside I have to mention is I'd really liked to have seen more buttons. Maybe Elgato will release a Stream Deck Plus XL in the future, who knows. Now, if you're like I was when I got my original Stream Deck, this may not look like a product that you think that you need, but if you get one and use it for a while, it will soon become clear just how useful it is. I wouldn't be without my Stream Deck, and I feel exactly the same about this new Stream Deck Plus. And that's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like down below if you did. Drop a comment down below and let us know what you think of this new Stream Deck Plus. Do you currently use one of the original Stream Decks or a Stream Deck Mark II? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up with the latest PC gaming news and reviews. Anyway, guys, I've been Matt. This has been the new, really clever, really innovative Stream Deck Plus from Elgato. I will speak to you in the next one. Look after yourselves. See you later.